Happy Saturday, friends. It's always a pleasure to have you here with me and for me to be here with you. On the YouTube channel to touch on a few topics, it's an important Saturday. I'd even say a fundamental one. I repeat, you shouldn't look at the standings, but there are certain things you should pay attention to. I don't like complainers, whiners, those who have everything and think they've had nothing, people who are always looking for excuses, and those who wish they were in the place of the ones complaining. And they're right. There are those who don't have a cent to make up a euro, and there are those who've had the chance to spend enormous sums, millions, even hundreds of millions of euros, and yet they complain and whine. Honestly, I don't like this attitude. I say this with the utmost respect for important coaches, but I have to make this point about Tudor. Tomorrow night there will be a very delicate Lazio-Juventus match. Delicate because the difference with Lazio-Juventus today is that Lazio has to count heads just to put 11 players on the field because the string of injuries has been truly remarkable. So they're down to the bare minimum. You can't even make choices or use any tactical tricks, and you might even have to play someone out of position. And this situation is a statement in itself. It goes far beyond any kind of clumsy interpretation. Meanwhile, Tudor has invited us to play along with his game of loves me not. Loves me not. Do you remember the story of the daisy? That thing that's a bit awkward, in my opinion, a bit silly to try to figure out what your lover wants and feels. You'd pull off one petal, loves me, then another petal, loves me not. You'd finish plucking all the petals from that daisy, and if it ended on loves me, you were happy. If it ended on loves me not, you were disappointed. You can't do that with a football team. I think it's tiresome to change your outfit every 5 seconds. I believe that a highly paid professional coach should give the team a style of play, not look for excuses and maybe not insult Cremonese, but make a choice. I honestly don't know which lineup he will decide to put on the field tomorrow night at San Siro, at the Olimpico, when Tudor faces off against Lazio. But to be completely honest, your guess is as good as mine. If he ends up putting David back in to leave out Vlahovic, then brings Vlahovic back against Udinese, then leaves Vlahovic out again for the next match with Cremonese, I'm just guessing here, then puts him back in with Sisao and then takes him out again with Sisao. This makes me realize, or would make me realize, that it's not just a problem with the squad, it's also an issue of clarity in leadership. The whole loves me not thing can't exist in football. Just as many other things that unfortunately do exist shouldn't exist, a system that unfortunately exists shouldn't exist either. We can't keep witnessing situations like Zufferli's, where it takes him 15 minutes to make a decision. But unfortunately, that's the reality. When it comes to the choices of a coach who is handsomely paid, the loves me not approach simply doesn't exist. Since we're unfortunately heading toward the next break, I believe that Tudor needs to give an answer. Not to the fans, not to the club, not to Juve, but to himself, to the way he interprets this job and to the choices he makes without looking for excuses. I've noticed, and forgive me if I focus on this point, a remarkable triumphalism after a narrow defeat. But Juve wasn't like this. Juve celebrated victories. Juve didn't celebrate a narrow defeat. Or above all, those who spoke about Juve didn't celebrate a narrow defeat as if it were a World Cup victory. Guys, you lost a match here, didn't you? So it's one thing to say you played with honor, but it's a whole different story to glorify it, to exaggerate it, as if it were the match of the year. This shows you the level to which Juventus has fallen. Today, because of bad decisions, people being replaced every 10 minutes, and unclear situations, there's a coach who now, on October 25th, tomorrow the 26th, on the eve of Lazio Juventus, is still playing she loves me not. Yes or no? Let's see. Then let's pick another daisy. Let's get a move on. Because I believe that in every job, in every profession, in every line of work, there must be authority and the courage to make decisions. Allow me to touch on something I mentioned earlier. This afternoon, today at 6 p.m., get ready tonight to turn the clocks back 1 hour. So we'll have an hour to gain back, actually. For sure. Napoli-Inter will say a lot. I won't get into the details of choices that aren't official yet, like whether Luca will play. We'll see. If he doesn't play, and if it's Neres as a false nine, and I think for Luca it would be a huge blow to his self-esteem. Why did they bring you in then? Or in the case of an injury to Lukaku, Højlund played, who arrived a bit after you. Højlund isn't playing now, and yet you're not there either, all for the sake of a false nine. Of course, Conte could say, I need a striker on the bench, otherwise I wouldn't have anyone. But in Luka's case, that would be hard to explain. Anyway, we'll see how these things play out during the day, and we'll talk about them later. It's a crossroads for Conte, simply because, with all the respect I have for the coach, they've given him everything. They've given him everything. Everything he asked for, he got, from the defeat in Verona, the first match day of the 2024 to 2025 season up to now. They've given him everything. After Verona, he asked to speed things up. They brought in everyone he had requested who hadn't arrived yet. Now the new signings have become a problem, but the problem was ultimately created with his approval, because he pushed for Luka to arrive, because he insisted on getting Højlund at all costs. Because he was the one who gave the green light for Noah Lang, because all the other deals were agreed upon together. And because I believe that if they gave you everything, I don't believe there are any excuses. So it's a crossroads. Conte is a great coach, he has proven it, and now we've entered a crisis that isn't about the 3rd, 4th, or 7th year, but about the 15th month. When we reach the 15th month, so the 2nd year or the 1st year plus 3 months, we enter into a crisis. A crisis means that if there aren't some results, we start shooting, we start saying, but they gave him everything. Allow me a reference from the series. Those who have bread don't have teeth, and those who have teeth don't have bread. About Milan's performance yesterday, really awful, my rating. 4.5, football that has not been chewed. We need to agree, truly we need to agree, not even remotely, we need to agree on a concept. Which one? The absence of a center forward and the need to beat a team even if it doesn't have a center forward. Let me explain. Milan also bypassed, in my opinion, not an excellent management last summer. The fact that getting a center forward should have been a priority. I mean, I wouldn't have started by looking for wingers, but I would have started right away by looking for a great center forward, so as not to get into the lottery of setbacks that then influence the choice. They decided to do things differently, and in my opinion, they made a mistake. In the last weeks, in the last days, they found themselves hoping that Roma would open up for Dobby, so they would have given Gimenez, even in the way they communicated with the players who are theirs. When there are only a few days left before the end of the transfer window, in my opinion, they should have acted differently. But that doesn't prevent them from being a team with acceptable football. So up to now, Allegri has done a job of restoring a league position that had been disastrous, to use an understatement, but it can be done even better even without having a center forward. It can be done even better maybe by playing with a bit more courage, and when playing against Pisa, perhaps with Kunku, Leao and Jimenez, rather than making predictable substitutions, one striker goes out, another striker comes in. So the short-sightedness in the summer regarding that position remains a serious mistake, the fact that we have to rely on Jimenez, whom we had even let go. But I believe that matches like the one against Pisa should be won regardless, and we shouldn't confuse the two things. The difference is that between Conte and the others, everything went Conte's way. Allegri also had a lot go his way, but he wasn't given the key piece. As Corvino says, you can get everything wrong, even your wife, but not your center forward. In this specific case, they didn't give him one. But from my point of view, that doesn't justify performances like yesterday's. I wish you a good Saturday, enjoy the matches, have fun, relax, and good work. See you soon on my channel. Bye!